So sometimes you need really simple reminders, and this is what this video is all about. But one thing that we talk a lot about with the women that we work with inside our program is if you don't quit, you will never fail. As long as you don't quit, it's impossible to fail. And I believe we all need those reminders. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Bo Murley. I'm the founder of Alpha Her, and for the last 10 plus years, we have coached over 3,500 women inside our coaching program to become one of the most respected and successful online female health and fitness coaching programs within the entire industry. So if you're a career-driven woman who's serious about getting help and making a long-term sustainable change, simply click the link somewhere around this video to learn more about our coaching program and determine if we can help you. That said, I want to dive into this, and this was spurred by the other day I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who I've known for a long time. And when I started this back in 2016, 2017, I hired a mentor. And anybody that had like an online fitness coaching company back then, a couple years before COVID, had probably worked with this mentor at some way, shape, or at some point in time. And we were talking about how many people that we had forgot back in the day in that program that we have no idea what they're doing anymore. They quit. They had a fitness business online, and they haven't posted on social media in 4 years, which means they're probably like working a 9 to 5 job, or they're completely doing something different, or what. Like we haven't. It almost seems like they fell off the face of the earth. And I remember back in the day, some of these people that we were kind of talking about were actually seemed like they were doing decent, doing well, but obviously something happened. They ran out of money, had a couple client issues or whatever, and who knows what the case may be. But really what we were talking about is like who can handle and hang in there mentally, who can overcome the challenges, the adversity, and who just refuses to give up and quit. That's really all it comes down to. Again, I don't know everybody's personal situation, but they quit. They gave up on their business, their company, because they're no longer doing it anymore. And very few people from back then in that program that I was a part of are around to this day. And it's the same when it comes to your health and fitness journey as well. And we remind women in our program this all the time, because you're gonna face challenges, adversity, just like I have in my business, and then my peers. That what's the difference between those that are still around and had been around in 2017, 2018 that are still around today? It's, even though it's very small percentage, it's like mentally who has had the ability to be mentally resilient, who's had the ability to hang in there when times get tough and they're faced with challenges, adversity, and who hasn't gave up and quit. And those are the ones that have lasted. And if you do this for so long, at some point you're going to become successful. And it's the same with women that we work with inside their health and fitness as well. One, it's totally normal to have times when you want to quit and you want to wave the white flag and throw in the towel. I promise you, it's going to happen. You're going to have bad days. You're going to deal with personal life issues. Something's going to happen with your career, a parent, whatever. You're going to have challenges and adversity. You're going to have ups and downs. That is part of life. But what I will tell you is, just because life has ups and downs does not mean you mentally have to ride that roller coaster with it. Let me say that again. Life is going to have ups and downs, but just because it does not mean your emotions and your emotional state have to ride that roller coaster along with it, because that's what I've seen in people in business that I used to know. Like when things were good, they were sky high, they were optimistic, they were pumped. Maybe they like bought some things or materialistic things they shouldn't or whatever. And then when things got really bad, obviously they just quit and they hid, and they're nowhere to be found anymore, obviously. And that's why they've failed. But if you can control your emotional thermostat and not give up and keep moving forward when you have tough times and challenges and struggles, that's really going to serve you. Because like I said, these women that we work with, we spend a lot of time really bulletproofing their mindset, making sure the little things in life that happen to everybody doesn't completely take them off track. And we obviously do this with accountability and support and building a relationship with them inside our program where they work one-on-one with a coach. But it's also too, I would say, our culture. Like we have hundreds of women inside our program who are dealing with different things that are very similar, to every woman in the program. So when they see Sally or Susan dealing with something that's similar to them, but one's moving forward and not quitting, that inspires these other women to follow her. Like, gosh, if she's able to still do this despite challenges that she's had, um, it's just a rising tide lifts all boats with the culture and the community that we've built. And also too, in our program, we do a lot of mindset work, because that's why so many people will fail fitness, because it's not about strategy and tactics and even necessarily sometimes the path that you take. It's who has the right mindset. Getting in shape and losing weight is more of a personal growth and development journey. It's a discipline, it's a commitment, it's a consistency thing more than anything else. It truly is. There's probably 100 different paths that you could take to drop 40 pounds. So it's not necessarily the strategy, the tactics, even though you want to have one that's optimized for you that you can sustain long term. But I will tell you that's maybe 5 or 10% of the equation. The other 90% is mental. Who can hang in there when they've had bad days? Who can hang in there when they're spending a lot of time taking care of an elder parent? Who can hang in there when they're traveling for work, or they have a lot of stress in their career, or maybe their marriage is on the rocks, right? Those things are real, and those happen to women inside our program. But those that are successful still move forward, still remain as consistent as they possibly can, and they don't fall off just because they're facing some challenges, some adversity. Those that really struggle, they have one thing happen to them and just want to completely give up and be like, life's not fair, play victim, fall off, blame everybody else for their problems, and not take personal responsibility, and love telling the story like, yeah, I was doing well, but this happened, and then, it just wasn't possible anymore. And they want to, lean into that story. But I know this is just kind of a rant, but my point is, I think having that mindset, what I see with people who are successful, with women inside our coaching program, in fitness, in business, and just really in overall life, is quitting is not an option. Giving up is not an option. Do not let yourself down, because I'm sure for many of you watching this, you've been let down by other people in your life before, right? How had that felt? Probably not good, but you're going to turn around and do the exact same thing to you and let yourself down, the most important person, that you need to, honor and respect. Don't be that person. And that's what really separates those that are successful and those aren't. Because for me, sure, those thoughts happen. I've had, tough days. When I start my business, when I was like 6 months in, living in my parents' house in my childhood bedroom, yes, every day, multiple times a day, I was like, can I do this? Am I going to quit? Am I going to give up? Like, what needs to happen here? Like, I got, payroll in 2 days. I have no idea what I'm going to do. What can I sell around my bedroom? Or can I sell my car? And will my parents be cool to let me just drive? Those thoughts are normal. I had them a lot. They're maybe not as frequent anymore, 10 years into this, but I still have them. That's normal. But when you really, push away those thoughts and think, is quitting really an option? No. Is giving up an option? No. Am I going to give up on myself? No. Like, we say things all the time, but in reality, it's not the case. But if you can have that mindset of like, failure's not an option, I'm not going to give up, I'm never going to quit, you'll be successful. It just becomes when you get to where you want to be, not if you get there at that point. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.